Good day, Sheeple.
How are you? Ignorant as always. Welcome to the weekly rant.
Okay, so what we want to talk about today is this, I was like listening to a Matic and the guy was like, on that track, the Genesis, he was like, yo, what is this bullshit on the radio? And I feel like,
Massive bullshit.
It's like words of prophecy, except now it's like there's bullshit on the TV, It's like, here's what was happening. So I was at the laundromat last night and I was doing, no joke, seriously, I was doing my laundry at 3 a.m.
It happens to the best of us. Hey, what's the thing, man?
You just, sometimes, the room gets a little bit stink, but I got things to do, I got things to study for. I can't do my laundry at a reasonable hour of the day or night. So
let's face it, we're both so busy shooting people.
Oh yeah,
that's what we do on a daily basis. We shoot people.
I just be doing drive-bys for no reason.
What? Here's the reason, man.
Nah, I'm just out there shooting people.
Please continue.
Alright, so I'm out there at the laundromat, and I'm doing my laundry, and so usually I can't really hear it because I'm over there. I'm far away from the TVs, and I got like 9 dryers on, all that kind of stuff. And so I put them all there at the same time. I start at the same time. They finish at the same time. And there's the story that comes on about like this house burned down, and like some like 6-year-old, was killed, and it was all tragic and stuff. But I'm like, I'm not related to this kid. I don't go to school with him. It's like
the fact that this kid died isn't going to affect our livelihood in the near future or in the distant future. Unless he's the future president, then we're all screwed.
Yeah, but we can fix that with our time travel machine. So
because we totally have time travel machine. We used to do drive-bys in the 1800s.
Oh yeah. I invented this shit, man. What y'all talking about? I feel like I ain't getting no credit. Like, I invented drive-bys, and I was doing this stuff before guns. Like, I was throwing rocks at stuff, and people were all like, it was in carriages. Like, I had to slow, because you got horses, you gotta slow the carriage down, and then you gotta they were like, excuse me, sir. And I was like, what's going on? Oh, hit you in the face with a rock. And, it was hard back in the days.
Victorian gangsters, mother. I can't say that on YouTube.
Oh.
No, guess not. Continue.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, and I was sitting there, and this brings me to the first point that I want to tell you brothers and sisters today. The news is not information.
It isn't. It's nonsense is what it is.
It's just nonsense. Like I said, you turn on the Good Morning America, and they're cooking. And it's like, alright, so...
Well, I don't understand this. Okay, I understand America being in a health crisis. I understand, promoting the idea of healthy eating. I understand that most people don't know what it is, so they offer, ways to show how. I don't understand why they choose the single cutest big breast woman possible to show me how to cook a freaking tofu sandwich or some nonsense like that. When presenting these so-called news stories, these human pieces, it doesn't make any kind of sense why they'd be showing me this in this manner on a station that's supposed to tell me what important things are happening in the world.
You see, that actually brings me to my second point. The news is porn.
It is, really. I mean
that's it.
Just take it back, take a step back, take a step further, take a step way back, and then look at it then. Yep.
There it is.
Porn.
Porn on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, so you had this thing that happened in, in Arizona. They have glitches. The Super Bowl, is happening in one location. People watch it everywhere. But then, some kind of crazy things happen at the switchboards. So, in Arizona, some people watching the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they actually got somebody at a local news station somewhere, at a cable station, was, falling asleep at the wheel and accidentally, spliced one of the stations. So some people, during what was supposed to be a commercial, actually got hit up with some sort of X-rated channel for about 30 seconds. And a lot of people flipped out, and the FCC got involved.
FCC can just fall in a ditch somewhere.
And they say that, and people will say, oh, well, that was an accident. Well, let me tell you what's not an accident. When Bill O'Reilly shows a clip of this on his show. So it's like, well, you didn't have to show people the titties everywhere, and then or they say well, we're about to show you some content that is not for children. But this is the news, Bill. Why are you showing porn on the news? How is that relevant to the story? Matter of fact, how is this relevant to the country? Period.
Yeah, we can take this a step further and ask how many of these stories are relevant to people. You know how many young white girls have died in the news in the past year alone?
Tons.
I freaking lost count. I tried to sum up, go back to old news stories of specifically young 6 to 8 white girls dying. My heart goes out to these families. Much love to all of you. Sorry you had this massive tragedy. It ain't right. It just ain't right at all. And we're not trying to say that, we're not trying to trivialize it. What we're saying is that, yes, you put her on the news to try to get a voice out and say, we need to find this girl. Okay, she shows up dead. Our condolences. We need to move on. We don't need 6 months after the fact recap on a slow news day of dead white girl number 23 from September. It's just not necessary.
Really isn't. And you see, so now people might be asking, well, if the news is pornography, why is there so much porn on the news? Well, it's very simple. Because as a viewer, they know that you want to see the titties. I mean, even women. I mean, advertisers have shown us this. Psychologists, those like film groups. I forgot what they call them. They got the focus groups. Everybody has shown this. Even women prefer to look at, like, even in a movie. You got a movie where there's no nigginess going on. Everybody's fully dressed. All that kind of stuff. Apparel. Even women prefer to look at the female star more than the male star. Now, maybe the men are looking for a different reason than women, but everybody wants to see the titties. But because we want to pretend that we got like all these morals, and everybody's trying to pretend that this is a Christian, news network going on, Fox.
People pretend this is a Christian nation.
Yeah, and do you not know? You can actually go online and type in the phrase "porn on the O'Reilly Show." He has done this multiple times. He has shown he has shown half naked, titties all busting, all that kind of stuff. And his excuse is, well, there's a story that happened, and and this happened, so we're gonna roll the clip. But it wasn't a story until you pointed on the news. I mean,
well, let's not stick with just Bill O'Reilly. The fact that he's a crazy old white man.
He's a god.
What you need to do is that I think let's just talk about some other examples that keep coming across the news station, other than just Bill O'Reilly specifically. So we don't want to seem like we're picking on a conservative.
No.
That's more trouble than you want. So what other examples of this are there, man?
Well, I mean, you could even jump sort of away from the whole serious hard news thing, and you could say you look at and granted this is comedy, but you got when you're watching Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he's got This Week and Uncensored This Week and Unnecessary Censorship, where basically what he likes to do is mainly he looks at news people, but he also looks at documentaries and all that kind of stuff, and he has his writers, they come through and they find stuff, and they just randomly throw a bleep in there, so it sounds like somebody's cursing, and and he's doing all that kind of stuff. And basically, here's the thing. He's on network television. He can't curse. But what he can do is fool you into thinking that other people are cursing. So now he's doing the same thing that Bill O'Reilly is doing, but of course he's doing it for a joke. And of course nobody is cursing on the news, so that's why it's called unnecessary censorship. He's bleeping out the word the. He's bleeping out the word shoes. But it sounds like, when you hear that bleep, it sounds like they're cursing.
Let's move to this last topic of the day. Now, the one thing that I think we saved the best topic for last, because this is something that's a bit of a doozer that no one really wants to address, and that news has to resort to sensationalism because it relies on viewers constantly watching their channel. And so, what do they put on these news channels? Not the news. Not the news. You see, you watch the show. You watch these news shows and you see crime, you see sex scandals, you see political sex scandals that don't matter.
Yeah.
Now, I understand politicians need to be called out on their bullshit. What I don't understand is the unnecessary bullshit that we call them out on.
Yeah, for example, you take Bill Clinton. Now, this is, the Clinton administration, second half, second term. This is when I first started, getting into politics and watching the news. And, it's I'm not going to tell, I think he's, if I met him, as a person, maybe, we could, hang on stuff, but I've never been, a Clinton fan. And people are always like, well, you're always concerned about Monica Lewinsky. It's what I was concerned is that he was, I joined the military right after high school, and this guy is paying, he's paying a dictator to not say anything. So Bush comes in office and he says, well, where was all this money flying out from? And he says, oh, Clinton was paying this guy. So Bush says, screw that, I'm not going to pay him. And next thing you know, Kim Jong-il is in the news every 3 weeks. Well, if you agree with Clinton paying somebody off, hey, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, or it's just something I didn't agree with. But because I say I don't like Clinton, people automatically assume it has something to do with the Lewinsky scandal. That's nonsense. How does that affect his ability to govern and gets the news from? But really, let me tell you how I'm going to solve this problem. Put the titties on the news. All right?
Dude, don't try to hide it.
Don't try to hide the titties.
Really? Titties are good. I think that's all the time we got left.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. From us to you, Project 3 AM, this is the Weekly Rant.